Well, welcome to Beyond Profile, our weekend update here. As you all get ready for Super Bowl 45 and the kickoff here, some of you might be watching this a little bit later than normal. I wanted to focus in on the 6E, the Euro market. On Friday, as we wound down the day, we were watching that very closely and noticing that there was some demand stepping into the market for the Euro. And again, it didn't give much of a bounce. And I wanted to start by looking at the daily chart to see exactly where we were in relationship to this recent pullback that we've seen almost 4 days. And you can see the market's actually opening here pretty much flat, 35.70s on the Euro market right here. These red lines here just represent naked daily point of control areas, which are key reference areas. You can see the one on Friday. There was actually two of them stacked in there at 35.75. We came down through them and touched both of them, and it actually closed back above these areas. Now, this area that you see on the chart here, off to the right-hand side, represents last week's value area. All right. The blue obviously is the value area. Outside of it is outside of the value area, and you can see we closed outside of last week's value area. So coming into the new week here, one thing we know about the euro, we're out of value from last week. So one of two things needs to happen. Either price action will go back into last week's value area, or as the week goes on this coming week, value will be accepted down here. So we'll be watching closely for that. There is a high volume node that we're going to have to pay close attention to. Would be 36.25 area, and that was where we paused. Before the number on Friday morning, we were sitting down there basing, going sideways for a long period of time, and then once the news came out, we actually rattled all the way back up to 36.80 here on that topping tail, came back down, made new lows on the day, and then kind of just floundered around here, right around that 35.75 area the rest of the day. So what we're going to be watching for this week, obviously, and some of you are going to be watching this tonight yet, Sunday at the open, was to see if whether or not we get more continued buying down here at this level and see if there's going to be a chance of this being a pivot low for this market to, maybe have overshot, if you will, the prior value area. If we drew a box around this last value area here, we were in a balanced trading area. All right, that would be referenced by value. We broke out, went to a new stage 1, immediately hit stopping price, and we came right back in. This would be almost one of those 1, skip steps 2 and 3, and go right to a 4, and we come right to the bottom end of this thing again. So really questionable here as to whether or not we're going to hold, and the only way we'll know if it's going to hold is we will watch it on a smaller time frame. And again, you traders starting even on Sunday night, coming into the London Open at 3 a.m., watch to see whether or not they do step in here and not to start taking out Friday's lows. One of your first main objectives that you're going to have to deal with is going to be this 36.25 number. Hands down. There's a big volume node there. You're going to have to clear it, maybe even in the first time. If some of you are looking at this as a long trade, I would be looking at that as my first projected target. It would be 36.25s. Okay, and again, that would be in a smaller time frame. If we look at the smaller time frame, this is a 30-minute chart. You'll notice that the market's now opened. All right, here's Friday's lows down here. And here's this volume node I'm talking about, 36.25. You can see there's a boatload of resting supply up and to the left over here that one's going to need to deal with. All right, right there. So target objectives on any sort of a long trade here would be kind of short-lived, or you'd have to figure out your risk to reward here if you're buying 35, 60, 70 area. This is your first target objective, and obviously you don't want to see the lows from Friday be taken out. Otherwise that means on the daily time frame, what does that mean for us? That means we have more downside potential, and there's a couple high volume nodes down here at 34.92, 34.65. This would have been the prior breakout area that we had broken out from almost 2 months, where we were auctioning back and forth in that balance area. So this will be interesting. This is going to be a main focus for us this week as we come back down to the bottom end of this and looking to see if they can't find some demand down here and get a pivot back up, and then we'll see if we can stay inside of this blue box, which represents the prior value area that we were in. We'll keep this brief because I know a lot of you want to get back to the game, but look at the S&P daily chart. We broke out of the continuation. We went from a stage 3 to a new stage 1. Friday we closed at all new time highs here for the year. And again, we've broken through the stage 3 and definitely in a stage 1. As much as we may not want to believe that we're going to continue to go higher, the market continues to go higher. Even after the number of the jobs report on Friday, we rallied. We came back against the breakout here. There's 98s, 99s, and that's all it took. And then we pushed all the way back up to the highs. And you can see here where we're opening in the Globex session here is just slightly below the highs from Friday's closing area. So this one will also be interesting here to see how far we actually go. Keep in mind for both this and the NASDAQ this week, especially the S&P, we've broken out. We're in a technical stage 1 here. All right, stage 2 needs to come first. Stage 3, if we're going to continue higher, and if this does an about face, just like the euro had done last week, and we pull back inside of this blue box, then that's going to open up the door, like I said, and we've been talking about it in the room, that we will come back through these prior pivot lows and head down to these areas here of 1253, 1244, and then eventually 1236. Because a failure to go higher outside of a prior value area will push us all the way back through the last unfair low territory here at 1271s in the ES E-mini market. And again, as long as we're in a stage 1, we're going to continue to play it as a stage 1, looking for stage 2 to form, and continue to look to buy pullbacks until otherwise proven differently here. There's no reason to fight it. Again, as much as we may or may not want to believe that this market wants to continue to move higher, respect the higher time frames. The daily's in a stage 1. We got to respect that and continue to buy pullbacks, looking for eventually stage 2 to form, and then of course stage 3 again, which would put us back into a balance area. And who knows where that occurs. If for some reason we do an about face and go right to a stage 4 here, this we could open on Monday, come right straight back in. That's going to set the stage for us to auction all the way back through these ranges. All right, so. That's the ES market, and again, our focus, I think, for at least the Globex session coming into the London session Monday morning is going to be the Euro market, just based on where it is, and seeing if we can't get enough new demand to step in there and go ahead and look to buy that market. Okay? All right, you guys have a good rest of the week and enjoy the game, and we'll see you all in the room Monday morning. Have a great weekend, everyone.